My name is Biyi Oloko. I usually have to spell that out because people say it's unusual, but there's nothing unusual about anybody's name. Our name was Ojo. That was the heritage, but it became Ojo Oloko, and then they dropped the Ojo. What does Oloko mean? Oko means vessel, vehicle, and Oloko means owner of vessel and vehicle. And that's because my great-great-grandfather was one of the first owners of boats. He used to trade by boat. Those days he would go for a year and come back. Go, come back. And that's where the Oloko has come from. My heritage is Nigerian African. I was born in a town called Ibadan. And Ibadan is one of the largest cities in West Africa. And there's a lot of history around that town. I emphasize that because one must not be ignorant of one's roots. And when we talk about Black History Month, I think primarily and principally the Black population, so defined. Some people don't like to use that word, but for now we'll go with that. The history is an African history. Part of what colonization did, which I think was appalling, was to wipe away people's history. And so when you talk about reclaiming the narrative, this is a way to reclaim that narrative. Now, the history that we learned when I was in school in Nigeria was that a chap called Mungo Park discovered the River Niger, or the source of the River Niger. And I said to myself, in our discussions, what about the people who live around that place? But we grew up, that's what we learned in history. So when they ask the question, who discovered the Niger? If you don't put Mungo Park, you've got it wrong. But there were people living in that area. There were people who fish, who do stuff in that area. That's an example. So reclaiming the narrative is about taking that and saying, no, sorry, he didn't discover it, and replacing it with the right history. So for me, that's what reclaiming the narrative does. People who were involved with the war in this country, those who came to this country to build the rail system, to be part of the rail system, people who were brought in as nurses, their contribution to the development, all those people need to be recognized, because the London transport system would not be what it is today if those people didn't come in and build it, right? The healthcare would not be what it is today if those people didn't come in and were nurses. And so we need to expose the aspects of what they've done. So for somebody like me to be here today to speak like this is also a part of that, to show that, we're not just defined by our color. We do have something up here as well. And we do have a contribution. And there are people, you have people like Carol Dodge Jackson, who was chairman here as well, the first Black person and lady to be chairperson. When people see possibilities, then it opens people's minds. I'm a very firm believer of don't just talk about it, do something about it. And you can only do what you can. Somebody once said that a tree doesn't make a forest, but a tree can start a forest. So you do what you can. And I felt at one time that there's a lot to do. We need to have a seat at the table. So as a Black person, there are not many, didn't see many people like me being represented. I've been a councillor since I think 2021 for Tilehurst South and Holybrook. It's something that I enjoy doing. I think my biggest inspiration is my dad. He's 93 now, but he is as sharp as anything. And his experience is so rich. I mean, the knowledge that he has seen the transformation of Nigeria from the front seat. His knowledge of it is still as sharp as he was there. His experience, his intellect is still, his insights, when it comes to, when you look at people and you think, whose brain would I really like? I mean, I don't even know if I have a bit of his brain, because for me, he's just on another level. That's where I draw my inspiration from. Then when you come out of that area, I like people who want to make a difference. I like change makers. So anyone who's a change maker, and you look at even Elon Musk, as controversial as he is, he's a change maker. You look at people like Obama, people like Mandela, who despite his life of penury, and he still found a way to bring people together. I was talking to somebody, we're sharing experience, and I told him that I always print out my receipt. And he looked at me like, well, I said, no. In as much as I believe in paperless, but I always print out my receipt from past experience. Because I've been involved in incidents where I got stopped, and it was the receipt that helped me. He was shocked that that can happen. He couldn't. So I said, look, that's the mindset that we come from. You're already on the defensive. So people see you and they already judge you. You have not said a word, but your color is already speaking volumes because of TV experience, what they've heard. So you're already on the back foot when people see you. So imagine that you're a councillor and you are now approaching. That's one of the things that I really respect, appreciate, and almost love the people of Tilehurst South and Holybrook. Because at no point has any of my residents ever made me feel that way. And you knock on people's doors at funny times. There are people who don't believe in your party politics, so that's just party politics. But for somebody to look at you and say, bang, no. And I think that's just that. That's why I say the people of Tilehurst South and Holybrook are just amazing. Black History Month is good, but for me, it's just a month in 12 months. What about the rest of the 11 months? We don't have a White History Month. Yeah, we acknowledge that, there's a reason behind it, because you want to showcase years of deprivation, years of this, years of that. But what are the lessons that we've learned from it? The lesson that we've learned from it is that we are all we live in a multicultural world. So let us recognize that. There's no one color fits all this. Color for me, nobody has a monopoly on color. Nobody chose the color. They were born with that color. So that's a given. That should not be relevant. So if we can draw that line, and then we're now a product of different experiences, different cultures, different environment, different foods, different music, different films, different theory, different literature. Let's recognize that is the openness, the transparency, and that's one thing I'm beginning to enjoy in West Berkshire, is that there's still pockets of resistance, but by and large, you feel that it doesn't matter where you come from. When you come here, when you're in West Berkshire, all things are possible. Reclaiming the narrative is for the Black History Month is about the contribution of Black people. The first Black player for Reading, he lived in West Berkshire. He lived in Calcutta, and the other day we dedicated a bench for him. I didn't know that, but those are stories that need to be brought out so that Black people, all people, can see that actually West Berkshire is a thriving community, is a thriving environment for Black people. There was a very young chap who, because of my involvement, the mom had said, my son is very interested in politics now. Those little things, I think, well, I am making a difference. So it's not all lost hope, I guess. What contribution are you making in your time here? What legacy do you leave behind? Black History Month, we have Black History Month because of different legacies. Somebody started that. It started in the US, and here we are today in 2024 doing something that was started, back in the, I think, early 60s. So that's legacy. we'll see if people can say because I was a councillor, therefore I want to be a councillor. That's a bonus. I'm hoping that when people hear the Oloko name, they will recognize that there is history behind that name. It's a name that I'm very proud to carry that name, and I'm very proud to have been able to achieve what I call something that adds to the tapestry, a very rich one at that, of the Oloko name. Now, there are other people who don't have that background, but have equally achieved, probably even more than I have achieved. And this is where reclaiming the narrative, different contributions, different levels of society, different abilities, different capabilities, contributing to the development of our society at large. But here we're looking at West Berkshire.